Hello. Today we're going to be looking at the steps to install an SSL-enabled Informatica Discovery Agent in DPM. Informatica Discovery Agent is used to run domain discovery scans and subject registry scans on unstructured data sources such as Amazon S3, file system, HDFS, Azure Blob Storage, Microsoft OneDrive, Shared Drive, etc. The agenda for today's call would be extract required files for the Informatica Discovery Agent installation, generate necessary SSL certificates for TLS operation of Discovery Agent, configure the agent SSL connector, and create the remote agent in DPM UI. Let's get to the first step of extracting the Discovery Agent files. Upon your DPM installation in your node, the Informatica Discovery Agent.zip file would contain the necessary binaries for the Discovery Agent and would be located in the Informatica Installation Directory, Secure Source Service, and Informatica Discovery Agent folder. You would need to extract the contents of the zip file to a folder. I'm going to the Informatica home directory. Source, Informatica Discovery Agent. I'm going to create a directory here named remote agent. You could name it according to your preference. I'm going to unzip the contents of this zip file into the directory. Once the contents are extracted, we need to create the required Keystore and truststore files. So there are going to be 4 steps to do here. The first step would be to create the Keystore file for the Discovery Agent. We're going to use this using the keytool file and the gen-key command. So we'll create a Keystore with the Discovery Agent, alias disk_agent. You could change this depending upon your preference. This is going to be the unique identifier for the Discovery Agent certificate, SSL certificate. And the key pass and store pass, I'm going to keep them as the default. Password as change it. You could change it to your required preference. I'm going to name the Keystore file as agent_keystore.jks, and I'm going to provide the following parameters for the certificate. The CN would be your host name. This is a requirement for the Keystore file. So kindly run the hostname -f command on your node on which you are installing the Discovery Agent and use the output of that command as the hostname here. Organizational unit, organization, city, state, and country would would be based on your organization. Once we've created the Keystore file, we would export the public certificates from the private key and store it in a file named disk_agent.cer. Once this step is completed, we are going to import the public sets that we have just extracted into this set file into the domain truststore. So this would enable the DPM service to communicate with your Discovery Agent. Once the public sets of the agent Keystore have been imported into the domain truststore, we are going to copy the domain truststore to the location where we are storing the agent certificates as the agent truststore file. We are doing this because the domain would naturally contain all the other certificates from your SSL based data sources as well. So you would not need to import them again back into your agent truststore. So this would be a recommended way of using the domain truststore as the agent truststore as well. Now let's get back to the server. I'm going to create a directory here to store my certificates. Now we are going to generate the Keystore file. I've put in the entries according to my node. Kindly put the same as per your own node in which DPM service or whichever node you are installing the Discovery Agent on. So we have our agent Keystore ready. Now we are going to export the public certificates of this Keystore into a file named diskagent.cer. Once this step is completed, as discussed, we are going to be importing this into the domain truststore. So since I'm using default Informatica SSL certificates while installing EDC and my domain, my default certificates are located here in Infra Home Services Shared Security, and my domain truststore is infra_truststore.jks. So I'm going to be importing the public certificates of the Keystore file into the domain truststore. It's going to ask whether you want to trust this. Type in yes. Now we are going to copy the domain truststore to the same location as the other agent certificates as the agent truststore file. So at the end of it, you will be having the Keystore file and the truststore file as well. The next step would be to configure the server.xml file. First, you would need to navigate to the remote agent installation directory, which is the directory in which we extracted the files from the zip file. Under this directory, you would need to traverse to tomcat-conf. You open the server.xml file. We first locate the following lines in this text. So this basically is the part of the code which helps the agent to start up as an HTTP agent. So since we are planning to start the agent in SSL mode, we do not need this part of the code. So we are going to be commenting this part of the code. So let's go to server.xml now. I'm going to remote agent directory, tomcat conf, open up, back up the server.xml before you make any changes. Server.xml now. So you see, this part is the part of the code which enables the agent to start up in HTTP mode. We are going to comment that off. Let's add this part behind and after. Save the file. Now the agent has to start on a port, so you would need to determine your port availability. Check with your Linux teams as well, and you could check on your end as well to see which port is open and available to use. Once you have the port available, we can proceed to configure the SSL connector. Now we need to add in the following information in the server.xml files. Good news is that this part of the code is already available in the server.xml file. We would just need to uncomment it and fill in the required values and save the changes to the server.xml file. So in the server.xml file, as you see, This says configure this SSL connector. This is the part of the code that we are going to uncomment. So delete this line and this as well. Now the path to the truststore file. The path to the truststore file. So now our certificates are located here. This will be the path to the truststore.jpsl, which is the path to the agent truststore.jpsl that we just configured. So this will be agent underscore trust, and this will be a truststore password since I'm using my default truststores. My password is will be the path to the Keystore file. And then my password are going to be the default ones. Key alias is the unique identifier for the certificate when we first created the Keystore. In my case, it's going to be this agent. Once this is completed, save this file and close it. Now we have to start up the remote agent. Go to the remote agent installation directory, under which you need to traverse to the bin directory. Now that's agent.sh startup. Now in case if you're installing this agent in your Windows environment, you need to use the batch file. So since I'm using in the Linux environment, I'm going to be starting with the SS script startup. You can tail the logs at tomcat logs catalan.out. It's starting to come up. So there's already a process running in there, so I'm going to kill that. Start up the agent again. Tail the logs again. And this time you see server just started up successfully. Now I'm just going to confirm. Now let's go to. Once this is completed, we need to configure the discovery agent in DPM service. I'm going to the DPM service right now. Here, to configure the remote agent, we go to Manage Remote Agent. Remote agents are synonymously used with discovery agents. We go to Remote Agents, go to Access New. So for our discover domain cases and subject registry scans, for both use cases, we will be using the subject registry agent. Click on this. I'm going to name it as test agent. Asking the host, take the host information. We started the server at port 9000. That's it. So now the APM is successfully able to connect with the remote agent. Now once you have a data store set up, you can associate the data store here in the next step with the remote agent and run your discovered domains or subject registry tags. To summarize, we went over the extraction of the required binaries for the installation of discovery agent. We generated the necessary SSL keystore and truststore files to help enable TLS communication for the discovery agent. We performed the necessary Tomcat server changes in the server.xml file to configure the responsible connector. We finally reviewed how to create a discovery agent in DPM UI and successfully test connection to it from the DPM service. For additional information on this topic, kindly refer to the Informatica knowledge base and also the DPM installation documents for your respective versions. We would love to hear more from you. Kindly drop in your feedback at supportvideos@informatica.com or kindly leave us a tweet at https://twitter.com/infasupport. That's our support info handle.